go. So, on the next part of this topic, we are talking about the race of each person. So, Ash, I'm just gonna ask you a couple of questions, and you can swing it over to me.
Okay, cool.
So, I want to know from your side, of course, growing up in South Africa, how was life growing up in your community and society as a whole, as a colored person?
Um, Life was very chilled, man. Like, we kept to ourselves, so it wasn't like very, like hectic, you know.
Mm.
There wasn't much happening, especially because Port Alfred was it. I mean, it is so small. Um, so yeah, but everybody knew everybody's business.
Mm.
It was just like if something happened at the talk of the town, which is a newspaper place.
Talk of
Every
the town.
Yeah, everybody's gonna know. You know, everybody's gonna know
Of course.
everything. If there's a fire, people are gonna know about the fire that happened in Parkside or Park Road. You
Mm.
know, there's a whole lot of. There is quite a established community, where they make it a point to actually be involved in schools,
Mm.
like and stuff like that. So like, especially with Port Alfred High School, there'd be like reporters coming in or journalists coming in and asking the kids questions and interviewing them,
Yeah.
seeing them on their sports day and stuff like that, you know. So they made the effort of just keeping people up to date about who's doing what, and it actually created a whole lot of publicity, you know. I remember that when I was doing karate, I was in the paper like a few times, you know. And you know,
Okay.
they were like, hey man, you know, Ash got his EP colors, or he's got his South African colors, so you know, big ups the small the guy that came from a small town, you know, all that kind of thing. So it like, you know, there was a sense of community, but at the same time, there was also segregation, you know, in
Oh, really?
yeah, like there's quite a hectic segregation. You have like blacks in one place, you know, and it's called the township or the location, and then you have the station hill, which is mainly colored people that live
Okay.
there. Maybe one or two white people that live there. You know, maybe
Mm.
they like colored people, so now they, you know, they
Maybe the rates are just cheaper there. I don't know. And
do
maybe,
they even pay rates?
Okay.
So, so
Oh, wait.
you know, then you have like the west side, which is, um, you know, west side. They out here, and it's just like mainly white people or like really well off black people. So if you were on the east side, you're more of like, um, you're not poor,
Mm.
but you're on the east, man.
You're regarded as living in the township, basically.
Not township per se, but it's just, you know, like you're on the east bank,
Okay.
you know.
Knowing that you are from there.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, otherwise it was very chilled growing up. And yeah, but how about you, bro?
Yeah, so like we spoke about earlier before,
We have some trumpets in there.
that's what I'm just listening. Like there's some music coming from somewhere. It's probably from the main house.
Yeah.
Okay. So like we mentioned before, I lived in Kensington, and there was a diverse group of people there. So growing up as a whole, everyone played with each other. When I say that, we played sport in the street together, and we, you know, went into each other's yards. We played there. We went into other suburbs as well, catching on nonsense, of course, as young people do. You know, like tok-toki, ringing the bell.
Oh.
Nah, dude, you know, we did those things as well. Some people, not myself, were throwing stones on people's roofs, and then we just started running, of course. So our life was it was quite fun, because you know Kensington is quite industrial a bit, because there's like factories in the vicinity as well.
Cadbury and all that, yeah.
Yeah, basically that. And you know, we've just found a way to live in that type of environment and made the most of it. So growing up in that area, it was fine. It's just that what was funny is that people still try to be racist towards, you know, the white people that live there, because technically they are regarded as, you know, being the poor left behind white people. But we didn't see it that way. Only certain children amongst the group thought that way. but we saw them as one of our own. So in most cases, we grew up in a fairly um, cohesive environment, basically, where people, were on their own property, they did their own thing. There were limited fights and so forth, but people lived in harmony in that space.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so my question to you, Ash, is what do you think racism is? So we're gonna go into more discussion about race and racism. And have you been affected by racism? So you can start off with what you think racism is.
For me, racism is basically, it would basically be, it's a structural thing, like it's a man-made thing. Where one race oppresses another, either in a structure or not. But I think it's more, racism is basically like structural oppression. So where one race will be above another, or when one race is under or is seen as underneath another, or below, or less than another, based on characteristics, and all of that. So for me, racism, it's when one race oppresses another. So if there's any sort of oppression that is happening, then the one, like say party A is currently in power, and let's say that they're pink people, and they view blue people as less than, and they're going to cease giving them opportunities that pink people can have. Literally, that's what I think racism is.
And on a social level?
On a social level, it would be like, I don't know, it would be like having privileges, basically. Like, I know during apartheid, then white people got to use certain toilets, whereas colored people couldn't use it, and black people couldn't use it. So people of color wouldn't be able to use the same toilets as white people, or even benches, even beaches, things like that. So that would probably be the social aspects of what racism would be. And if we do experience it today, it's more of of a privilege type of thing, like, oh, your forefathers were oppressing us, so therefore you must be one of them. And then we view it like, oh yeah, because I got a small piece of chocolate and this guy got a big piece, now it's like racism. So now that's what it's become, where it's not structurally racism, it's not anything like that. For me personally, racism doesn't exist. That's just my opinion. Racism is a made-up thing. It's a construct made by men, by people, just to cause division in society, just to have more control. Because if you divide a people based on trivial things like race, like the color of your skin, you're gonna have division, and then people are gonna think like, oh yeah, because I'm part of the Hitler group, like the Nazi, the Aryan race, now like I'm superior to you. There's no such thing. There's a reason why Hitler was making these things like such a huge factor, like trying to create the perfect race. There's a reason why it all happened, and it's just to like highlight the fact that there's this want for a perfect race, so that they can be in charge, that they can be in a position of authority, and to execute that authority over people. Personally, I have been affected by racism. In my life, I've been called many things, and it may have like oppressed me mentally.
Do you have an example of what you said?
Well, I was called an orphan. I was called an alien. I was...
In hindsight, you can laugh at it.
I can laugh now, man, but back then it was bad, guys. It was I felt terrible. I felt really insecure. I didn't know what I was, so it made me just question a whole lot of things. Am I black? Am I white? What am I? What does it mean to be colored? you know. And
At that point in your
yeah,
life,
at
yeah.
that point in my life, you know. So yeah, like I mean, those things were like that's how I got affected by it, you know. I've been called a whatnot as well, you know,
To
out
your
of
face.
yeah, to my face. And so what, man? Like it's just a word now, you know. That's
At
how I
this
feel.
point, yeah.
That's how I feel right now. It's just okay. I'm a whatnot now. What now? What now, bro? Do you think I'm gonna be controlled by a word? You know, a lot of people are
And that's the
so
problem, though.
yeah. So
In
many
today's
people
society.
yeah. You know, and so many people are so controlled by words these days. You know, like oh wow, he called me that name. Oh, now I'm angry. You know, you're letting that person actually have power over you.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, come on, bro. Like, wake up. But yeah, I don't know. What's your take on it, bro?
So, what I understand from racism at this point in my life, compared to in the past, I believed racism was there in the past, but now I've grown to understand that all these isms and schisms, it's just a song that I used to listen to back
Bob Marley.
then. Bob Marley, yeah. All these isms that they add at the end of all these words, such as
Feminism.
feminism, all the, you know what I'm talking about. I can't even remember all of them because it's just slipping my mind.
Racism,
Um,
feminism,
you know,
structuralism,
exactly.
all these things.
All these things is just there to make us have an enemy so that we can be distracted from the main thing that's taking place. What I do believe is that classism has always been there.
Yeah.
Okay, and now they're using all these other isms to distract us away from the major overarching one, which is classism.
And capitalism.
It's another discussion another day. Look, because to be honest, I'm pro-capitalistic, to be honest. But the point is, I don't want to debate that now.
No, it's all good, bruv.
The point is, in my point of view, classism is being hidden behind racism and all the other isms and schisms that are available there. Why? So that we don't want to break that hierarchy that's been set up there. Okay, I know it might sound contradictory because I say myself that I'm a capitalist, okay, because classism relies on capitalism as well. But so does communism as well.
Hey, I didn't say I'm a commie.
But so does communism as well. So my point is that we need to understand that there are rich white, blacks, and Indians and coloreds that will keep
100%.
themselves superior to other poorer or middle class
Race groups, yeah.
race groups, of course. So now, for example, someone's bad manners that are shown by a white person who is richer, who happens to be richer. Say, for instance, Ash is now middle class, colored person, and there's a white person standing here. They both swear at me with the same word, but innately in my brain, I'm programmed to believe that the white man is racist, but he's being rude. Okay? So how is it that? How did that come about, that whenever a white person says something that hurts our feelings, it's racist? But if a person that is the same ethnic group or even a different ethnic group says something, then we don't take it as racism. Why is that? We should ask ourselves that question. So my personal thoughts are there's no racism, but there is classism, but classism hides behind the word racism, and racism is linked to people's feelings. Okay, so we are obviously being taught that through our education system and all these things. But like I said, I'm not going to disregard that there are rude white people or rude black people and rude Indian or whatever race we have in South Africa.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that we need to look deeper into what racism is, and that's how I have come to understand it. So it helps me to figure out why things are the way they are in the world.
So on that note, do you think only one cultural group can be racist, or can it transcend all groups? What's your opinion?
Personally, like I said before, I don't agree with racism, but
Yeah.
I think it can transcend all groups if you are going to move into that sphere of thinking. Oh, I don't know what happened there. That sphere of thinking, if you're going to move into the sphere of thinking about what racism is, I believe that not everyone is exempt from not being racist. Okay? So black people can be racist, colored people can be racist. I've heard black and colored people say the worst of things. I've heard white people say the worst of things. Like for example, remember that story I told you about when I was still in scouts as well. We were doing like a 100-kilometer walk. Yes, 100-kilometer walk. I only made 20, guys. I was very young. But anyway.
Even 20 is a lot, bro.
Hey man, it was like a walk for charity or something that we did. So anyways, this guy was walking in front of us and he was interacting with us. So then we assumed like, he's friendly and blah blah blah.
Right.
So Ash, tell me, as a colored person growing up, when you meet an older man who is not a family member, what do you refer to that person as?
Uncle.
Uncle. Yes, uncle. The famous word uncle.
Uncle.
Uncle. So I went to go and call a white man. This was funny though. Like at that time I was like so shocked. I was like, what? Like my face was like hectic.
What is happening?
So not myself, my friend, he was with me. His name is Nathan. Shout out to Nathan, by the way. So he was the OG calling the white man his uncle. He was like running behind him and he was like so chubby and like yeah, whatever. But anyway, so then he said, uncle, blah blah blah. I don't know what he asked him. When he asked his question, then that man turned around so livid. He turned around and was like, I'm not your uncle. I had no relations with your aunt. And I was like, whoa, hold up.
Sorry, uncle.
I don't know what he said after that. But we were so shocked and taken aback. And at that day, from that point onwards, I never called white people uncle.
What would you call him? Sir.
Yes.
I mean, sir works.
Because I didn't want to have that outburst again.
Yeah,
so then,
listen, bro.
until I got to know the person, like I said, I stayed at white people's houses, stayed at black people's houses, stayed at colored people's houses. So I, went into different people's houses. And when they said I can call them that, then I called them that. But when I went to a colored person's house or a black person's house, I called them uncle anyway, you see. So that cultural difference could also be offensive to some or not offensive to others. What's your opinion about racism? Can it transcend each group?
Yeah, I feel that racism can definitely transcend all groups. Anyone can be racist.
Anyone can be racist.
Anyone can be racist. Everyone can be racist. It doesn't matter if you white, black, colored. Does not matter. Indian. It does not matter. Chinese.
Not just white people.
No.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Are you sure? Not just white people.
Yeah.
Okay.
100% sure, because like Dane was saying now, I don't know what he's doing now at the moment.
Yeah, I'll be back. I'm just putting on the kettle, bro.
So, I feel like blacks, whites, Indians, they can all be racist. It doesn't matter, racism is a form of oppression. So therefore, an Indian can oppress a black guy. An Indian can oppress a white guy. It doesn't matter. Say there's a company that's that's only employing Indian people, and then a white guy comes in there and he's like, oh yeah man, cool, thanks for the opportunity, Mr. Whoever. And then all the Indian people look at him like, oh, look at the vanilla man. The vanilla man. Look at the vanilla man. And then he's known as the vanilla man. And then everybody just bullies him and treats him like crap, and every day he's just called ugly names and stuff like that.
That's what colored people do as well when a light-skinned colored person is in the same place. What's the funniest word I heard people call him? Boer. They call the colored bros light-skinned.
Yeah,
like super light-skinned. They call him boer.
I've heard this too.
My
I was
gosh.
at soccer practice, and then I just heard like these colored people like saying,
oh yeah, no.
"Vas boere?" And I'm just like, huh?
Oh yeah, no.
Ouens, how can
and these football players, in the northern areas there's football clubs, and they always gave each other such funny names as well.
Nah.
Oh my gosh.
It's hilarious, but at the same time, like, why though? Why
is that racist though? Why isn't that not regarded as racist if a colored person calls
because another
a
colored
light-skinned colored person boer?
So I don't know. So then it just goes back to the whole factor of like words having power. You know, if there's certain connotation that is placed onto a word, that word is gonna have the meaning of the connotation. Like, let's take for instance, like, let's use the term nigger.
Okay.
You know, everybody is using the.
I'm using it freely at the moment as well.
I'm sorry if this is also like offensive and I might get censored for that, nah, but
Oh yes. N-word.
I'm currently, well, I'm not a white person, so technically I'm allowed to
You can
use
use
it,
it.
right?
I guess we can.
So yeah, so
I mean, it doesn't carry any substance
in South
it doesn't
Africa,
carry any weight. Sorry, in South Africa.
you see, and that's my thing. You know, you say that word in like America or you know, and you're gonna get some looks, man. You're gonna
Yeah.
get some terrible.
Yeah.
People are gonna look at you like, yo, that's not allowed, man. You don't do that. You say it here in South Africa, people
It doesn't
just,
mean anything.
you know, they're calling each other that, and it's just like, okay, that's cool. You know, that's fine. That's chilled. There's no negative connotation
Yeah.
to it, like there was maybe, say for instance in America where like, you know, slaves were called, you know, that word, you know. So yeah, like any group can be racist in my opinion. You know, that's just my opinion. I feel like it doesn't matter who you are, you can treat someone so crappy that they're gonna feel oppressed.
If we play according to the rules of what people believe racism is, then yes, all
Yeah.
groups would be.
I don't believe it exists in the first place.
Yeah,
I
but-
think it's just a mental.
Yeah, I just want to mention like that
Yeah.
in that system that we are currently living in,
Yeah.
racism is there if people choose to believe in it, of course. Okay, so with regards to race and growing up in South Africa, what message do you have for the younger generation?
Personally, I feel like look beyond the appearance, man, and I think this is also what Jesus says. You know, you don't judge someone based on appearances. You don't know who the person of peace can be, man. So, yeah, no to racism. Like, let's not go there, guys. Like, just don't cross the border. Just don't be rude. You know, don't be making stereotypes based off someone's skin color or ethnic
Yeah.
race. You know, be considerate. Be humble enough to actually recognize that this is another fellow human being, and actually go and treat them the same way that you would treat any other one of your friends, man. Like, go out and, you know, the main thing from the gospel is that you gotta love your neighbor, you gotta love your enemy, man. So, and as hard as it can be, and love doesn't always mean approval, but you gotta love them, man. You gotta treat them with some kind of respect.
And,
you
and
know?
in that line, there's no condition to say love your neighbor if it is a Asian
Yeah.
or a black
There is
person.
no such thing.
That just says love your neighbor as you love
100%.
yourself.
100%. So you're gonna do everything that if you love yourself and you know that you're not gonna treat yourself like crap, you're gonna, you know, then you gotta do the same thing for the next person, man. You gotta be treating everyone the same.
Yeah.
You know.
So my message to the younger generation is follow Jesus.
Amen.
Why I say so is because it's only then will you be able to see the lies that have been created in this world. Only then will you be able to see things clearly. Only then will you have a direction in your life.
True.
Like we say to many people as well, Jesus doesn't offer riches and wealth and all those things. But having a peace of mind to understand why things are the way that they are makes it easier to operate in this world rather than blaming it on a certain race group or certain invisible groups of people that we don't know exist. You know, if you want to go into the conspiracy theory side, at the end of the day, Jesus is the Son of God, and if you want to have a purpose in your life, you should follow him.
Amen.
And if you're looking for truth, go and read it in the Bible, because that's the only source of truth as well.
Also, I just want to add on to that. You're going to be searching for your identity your whole life. You're going to be searching for your identity. Identity is not something that you can find, man.
Yeah.
Identity is something that is given to you.
Yeah.
And God can do that. God can give you an identity. Jesus can give you that identity, you know? And that's the only way that you actually know what your purpose is here on this earth, you know? Yes, people think, no, I have a purpose, I have to do this, I have to do that. Yeah, cool, man. A lot of people feel the same way. But then you find that they're still not content with the life that they're living. There's something that is missing.
Always chasing.
There's something, whether it's money, whether it's women, whether it's men, whether it's some sinful behavior, sexually immoral things, in their life. They're going to be chasing after this their entire life.
Yeah.
Like, having this desire. But that's not going to be fulfilled. Your identity is something that is given to you. You can't find it. You'll be searching your whole life, and you don't want to waste so much time searching for something that can't be found. Rather go get it. Go read the Bible, read it in context, read what is expected of you as a person, and you're going to find so much bliss, so much happiness and content. I'm not saying that it's an easy road, man. I'm not saying that.
Nothing is easy in life.
Nothing is easy, yeah, 100%. But the rewards, man, that's what you're going to be working towards, bro.
Okay. So, let's just get to the last part. So Ash, we basically discussed a few points here with regards to what problems do we see in South Africa, and what problems do you see in South Africa, and I want to hear your opinion.
Okay.
Okay.
So for me personally, I think one of the main factors that are problematic in South Africa is the corruption. A lot of people know it. They know about it. They've seen it. They hear about it every day in the news.
Yeah.
They know about corruption, man. Corruption is a plague in South Africa.
Reminded about it every day, just walking outside.
You just turn on the news and you see, corruption. Every day.
Yeah, the poverty in our city is also a cause of corruption.
Yeah.
A result of corruption, a consequence, if you want to say.
100%. And, just for an example, look at the 500 billion that just went missing. People are investing in a golf cart to scoop up bodies for COVID emergencies. A golf cart that drives at 20 kilometers per hour. You're going to be rushing that person to hospital, having cardiovascular issues, and you're going to take them on a golf cart. That's great, man.
Money wasted.
500 billion on those things. I don't know. It sounds a bit sketchy to me, man.
Yeah.
But it's corruption on all levels, from the police, the traffic officers, nepotism in companies.
I feel like they lost a bit of hope, man, as well. Most of these public services.
They're just in it for themselves at the moment,
They lost all pride in their job.
Yeah, I mean, police officers and traffic officers be taking bribes, man. I know so many people that just say, hey bro, you just whip out a young KFC for the lady over there that stops you, and then you shop us, you just give her a young streetwise 2, a Coke and a 50 rand on the side, and you shop us. You got nothing to worry about.
That's crazy, bro.
That's corruption, bro. If you're gonna do your job, do it properly, man. Be out here and you treat everyone equally. You do your thing, and it should be fine.
Definitely.
You have nepotism happening out here.
Yeah.
People just getting into workplaces, employment places without actually having qualifications, but because you're someone's near for nuggie or uncle or whatever, now you get a position, and that's kind of unfair because it's not now sticking to a protocol where you based off your qualifications,
based off merits.
and there's no fairness of employment. There's no equal process. Even now with this whole BEE thing, I feel like it's now 29 years, almost 30 years now. That is that apartheid is done. So I think we can be done with that now. And quite honestly, quite frankly, I personally have not benefited from BEE. I have not benefited. Maybe you have.
I don't think it has served its purpose. You can argue that because of BEE, companies had to tick all the boxes of having representation in the company. Maybe we did benefit from it in some sort of way, but sometimes people are benefiting more than others.
Yeah.
So it's completely skewed, and it hasn't accomplished anything for everybody as they promised in '94, basically.
And literally, it's back home to George Orwell with Animal Farm. Some animals. Now, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others.
Yep.
That's literally what it is in South Africa.
That speaks to our current situation as well.
This is the corruption that we're talking about.
So, with regards to that, what else would you like to add there?
I think a solution for it would be more transparency and I think accountability.
How would you achieve transparency and accountability?
Transparency by actually putting the information out there. Whatever transaction that is out there, that everybody must be able to see what is happening with the funds, what's happening, where everything is allocated, how much funds is actually allocated for the entire budget, what is for each department. We want to know. We
Where
need
it's
to
going,
know.
yeah.
You know, you can't just be like, okay, the health department knows how much they have, and the police knows what they have, and education knows what they have. Everybody must know,
Yeah.
because we are the people of South Africa, and therefore we have. If we are so-called democratic, then we should be calling the shots, man.
We should be.
You see, this is not an autocratic society where one dictator lives and he's, you know, with his tyranny and he's, you know, charging us like, yo, you have to do this.
And they rely on ignorance as well. That's the key thing, because people are not involved in the government and so forth as, you know, everyday people. They are able to get away with it. The more we sit on our hands, the more we don't take initiative ourselves, we will continuously be duped and deceived by this government. We're not saying that we need to go and burn down things. We are saying that take ownership of your life and your children, and you'll see a difference in this country.
100%. Yeah, man. Your side, what do you think? There any problems?
My problem that I recorded here is the poverty mindset or the poverty trap. I'm sure you are familiar with that term. Poverty trap meaning that we are in a perpetual cycle of living in substandard circumstances, where the child that grew up in a household where there wasn't things that they needed to further their lives, and then when they have kids, their kids end up in the same situation. So it's just a continuous cycle of poverty, basically. So what we are saying is that in South Africa there is a poverty trap, and it's a poverty trap of the mind as well. Even if certain black people or certain colored people get out of, being what we would say poor, okay, and live flashy lifestyle, they still have the poverty mindset in their mind that they don't know what to do with this newfound wealth.
True.
They don't know how to push it on to the next generation. The only way that they will be able to learn that is if they, go to a certain private school where they teach you a different education from public school. That's another discussion on another day, by the way. Public school versus private school. But my point is, you have to find a way to bring it forth onto the next generation. And that type of thing will then break the cycle of poverty as well. We understand it as generational curses, if you think about it, where certain groups in South Africa has certain generational curses attached to them, okay, which is another discussion another day. But my point is, the poverty trap needs to be broken.
Yeah.
Okay. Why South Africa has a poverty mindset or a poverty trap, why they are stuck in it, is because there was no rehabilitation after apartheid. For example, a 94, I know he hears me say it a lot of times, but I'll say it again. The 94 World Cup did absolutely nothing. I mean, how in your right mind can you think that a ball being kicked through poles, a final whistle being blown, and winning the World Cup will solve all the issues that apartheid caused, all the issues of a civil war that almost broke out between the ANC and the National Party? People died during that time. How does a rugby match solve that? How does holding hands with a white man solve that? What needed to be done was education from the grassroots up, a foundation of beliefs that needed to be installed in people, that we were all going to agree on it. But all they just did was just sign a few papers with policies on it, and this is now the result of our country. Just go and look outside, take a walk through Corsten, take a walk through Walmer Township, take a walk through Motherwell as well. Go through those areas where the haves and have-nots are living amongst each other, and you see exactly what we see. And the truth is, how we can break that is if there is a rehabilitation. There is the institution of family being pushed forward in society. But you see, that's not the goal. The goal is to break families apart so that governments can do exactly what they've been doing for the past 24 plus years.
24.
Okay? Yeah.
It's more than that now, bro.
Is it more? Oh wait, I'm 26 now. So then it's 28. What?
Yeah, 28, bro.
Oh my goodness. So the point is, why we are also stuck in this poverty mindset trap is because of critical race theory that's been implemented in our country. Critical race theory basically being where you use past experiences, and that basically your current situation is blamed on past experiences. For example, apartheid is because of why black people are poor. Apartheid is because why colored people are on drugs. Because of apartheid, A, B, and C. Okay, so that's what's been put into our education system. Even history, I'm speaking to 17-year-olds about what they've been taught in history as well, and they always put it in a biased way, that Mandela was this man and this is how they overcame it. But what about in between? What about the blood that was shed, where the ANC members were actually bombing the white man's places as well, and where the white man was going in to torture the black man and the colored people that were also part of the revolution. So those questions are not being answered. Neither are the children asking those questions, because they don't know what really happened. They only know what they've been told, which means that if people don't do the active research of apartheid and so forth, then people can just make hearsay comments about it. You need to go and do your own research about what happened in apartheid, and you will see exactly what took place. There was no innocent victory that took place over there. People died.
Yep.
And all parties are guilty.
All parties.
Do you have a second point there that you would want to talk about what the problems in South Africa
just
are?
Also on that note, sorry,
Yeah,
man,
I'm
before
listening.
I get to my next point,
Yeah.
my final point is, you have to also question, like, you see so many people that are like of color, and you see them with wealth.
Yeah.
Look at, for instance, look at Cyril Ramaphosa, man.
Yeah.
He owns McDonald's
Oh, Cyril.
all over the
What a
country,
lad.
man. All over the country.
I've heard
So
of that.
how does this happen, man?
I've heard of
Like,
that.
how does this happen? How does one man who has been born in that era, the apartheid era, how does he accumulate so much wealth?
True.
How did Mandela accumulate so much wealth?
How did his family and his generation accumulate so
How
much
did they get that much wealth? And how come other black people have not accumulated that amount of wealth? And how come they have not acquired the knowledge to actually gain the wealth that they gained?
Wow, to
So it
maintain
can't
as
be
well.
it can't be like you blaming apartheid all the time. There has to be some underlying factor that is playing its role here, man. You have to question everything that is happening. You're gonna
Yeah.
keep voting for a government that steals from you, reap the fruits.
And again, we are not saying that white people know better.
100%. I mean, like Dane said, all parties are guilty. All parties are guilty, but you just have to really consider your allegiance, and you have to like really assess what are your options, what are you gonna do, who are you gonna serve.
And search for truth. And you'll
Search for
find
the
it.
truth, man. Like, I mean, it can't hurt to search for the truth. But yeah. Anyway, my last point is something that is problematic for me is the education system.
Hectic. What about it?
Personally, I feel like, the standards just keep decreasing. Right now, I think we at like a 30% pass rate. Like you need 30% to pass a subject. And personally, I feel like that's just going to add to more and more and more poverty. It's just going to add to more and more unemployment, not getting into university, not meeting the criteria, not meeting the standard. There's
Unskilled labor.
unskilled, yeah. Like, I mean, there's an international standard that is out there, and
We are keep on falling below that, yeah.
and South Africa is pushing this whole, it's fine, 30% is fine. It's not fine. It's not fine. You're telling me with my 30 what percent in maths, which I had that on my report, and I had to go and upgrade it, at Gadra, as I said earlier. That was not fine. That thing on my piece of paper, my matric paper, was not alright for me. That was like, no, I can't go and apply it to university with that on my thing. I need something more. It just shows that you only have 30% of the knowledge that is out there. And that's wrong, man. Like, you should be inquisitive enough to know more, to want to know more. And True. This is why I feel like the educational system is actually failing, because teachers are now doing the thing for the money. They're not doing it to actually go and promote knowledge and to think critically. It's more like, it's fine, do what you want to do. This is what you must know. It's fine if you get 30%. And
that's the attitude.
Literally, that's the attitude. And it's no more like, listen, guys, sitting and trying to make each and every individual actually understand that the work that they're doing. This is the problem that I see. And also, like, there's now a narrative being pushed. Probably gonna get cancelled for what I'm about to say.
Let's go.
But this is my own opinion.
I share the same opinion as well.
So I just feel like there's this whole gender pronouns thing is also being pushed. It's now being a narrative. The LGBTQ, it's being pushed in the educational system. For me personally, where does this fall into line of getting in employment after school?
How does this improve your skills?
How does this improve any skill of talking to another person?
I understand, bro. That's
like,
crazy.
How does this influence how adequate you are to do an engineering job? Just because you don't know how to do you don't know someone's pronouns? Come on, man. It's kind of ridiculous, man. And I'm not coming from a place of anger, but this is just, it's kind of pathetic, man. I understand that there's a bigger thing. There's a higher notion that is at play. I know that there's an agenda, right?
Yeah.
I get that. Cool. Everybody has the right to their own opinion. But they took Christianity and religious studies out of the school system. So why are they implementing something like this, which is basically the same thing? They're teaching people a certain way of how to think. You see, like, for instance, I don't know. Like, say for instance, you have a school that is teaching Hinduism.
Yeah.
You're teaching people everything about Hinduism. You're gonna have a lot of people that is gonna be entertaining that. A lot of people gonna be
educated on it.
Yeah, a lot of people are educated on Hinduism, and then they're gonna take part in those practices that are being pushed. So likewise, Christianity has been taken out of schools, out of the school system, man. There's no more religious studies.
In the name of diversity as well.
In the name of diversity, just to accommodate people. So why is this being pushed? Why is there Pride Month in the school system? What does that have to do with school? What does pride have to do with mathematics? What does pride have to do with anything? With a business that you're going to own after school? It has nothing to do with that. I'm sorry to say, man. Like, it's just, you got to there's a time and place for anything. And this is why the educational system is failing. Because people are now looking for a platform to express themselves when they should be there with some kind of like I'm here to do this, to get my education so I can get to university or some kind of education so that I can do A, B, or C.
Yeah.
That's it. Leave the rest to the parents, man. Let the parents decide what is good enough, like, to teach their kids about, whether it's fine to be, whatever.
Whatever.
Let them decide. Let them raise their kids. A school is not a place for people to be raising kids. A school is there for a place of education, to teach kids how to think critically, to actually process questions and to actually question things, So how, like, my solution, what I would say is stick to things that contribute to the things that are, like, actually going to benefit you. Like, for instance, like if you're gonna be in school, you're gonna need to learn how to think critically.
Yeah.
You're gonna need to learn how to own your own business. Those kind of things,
How
like
to manage it.
how to manage your own
Your
business.
finances.
Exactly, how mathematics, science, all biology, all these things. Cool, sharp, guys, go for it. But once it gets to this type of thing, man, it's just like, where does it fit in?
How does it benefit this
Why
whole
does it? Why is it
situation?
so important? Why is it? There's definitely an agenda being placed here, man, and I feel like this is just gonna be Sodom 2.0.
Yep.
My view. But yeah,
Preparing
man,
the
like,
next generation, of course.
you see, so like my solution is just to be able to, how will you be able to contribute to society through activeness?
Yeah.
You're gonna be teaching them maths, teaching them languages like Afrikaans, English, French, isiXhosa. Like, just teach them a language. Teach them how to code, how to do mechanics. Things.
Agriculture as well.
Agriculture, carpentry, things like that, woodwork, things that are skill related, that can actually, like, you giving people skills now to actually go out there, and they
Work
can
on their
actually
independence, of course.
100%, they have their
Yeah.
own independence. They can go and make a business out of that, and they can help
Yeah.
other people grow, and they can impart those skills onto other people. That's what you ideally would want. But now you promoting he, she, they, like, nigga,
Nigga.
censored for days. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. No, those are good points, Sash.
yeah. And
And-
I'm sorry for getting so
No,
excited,
no.
man. It's just
The
like,
thing is, we know exactly what the plan is, and we are just trying to wake people up to understand that you need to take initiative for your own life, and of course, the world will go according to Sodom 2.0. Just go and read in Genesis what happened over there. So, anyways, just so you know as well, just because we're speaking out against, the LGBTQ plus minus whatever it is at the moment.
P.
We're not saying that people need to. We're not advocating for violence against these groups.
Yeah.
We are not saying that. We just don't agree with what they believe in. I'm not saying that we're gonna push them out into society to be poor or hurt or attacked. Just telling people that if you don't want to believe in that, you don't have to be forced to.
Yes.
Okay. And this is all how media infiltrates people's minds, but that's another topic for another day.
100%.
My point that I want to bring up is what problem I see in South Africa. My second point is we have no pride or ownership of the country. When I say that, I mean we don't feel like we belong in this country.
Yeah.
And when I say that, if you okay, let me just use an example. If you have a car and you buy the car with your money, you would try your best to maintain that car, to keep the car clean, to go for its yearly service, to make sure that you understand how the car needs to operate in order to make it last longer.
Function, yeah.
And then you would have a car that accommodates your family as well. Okay, so if you have a family of 3, you would have a car that would accommodate for 4 people in case there's an additional person as well. So, like that example, we need to treat our country with better respect, the way that we would treat something that we own, by cleaning up after you are done, by looking after your neighbor, by investing back into your community, by knowing who your neighbor is. For example, most people don't even know who their neighbor is.
Sure.
They only find out if their house gets burned down, or if they get broken into, if anything tragic happens. But my point is that we don't have an ownership over our own country, which is why our country looks the way it does. We've been through many places in PE, and many foreigners are living in the country. Yes, I'm not saying that they shouldn't be here, but since they don't belong to this country, they don't have a sense of pride in the country, which means that they don't feel they obliged to clean up the streets if their business has waste. Okay, they don't feel a sense of pride that they should respect the rules of the road. I'm not saying that we should go and attack these foreigners. I'm just saying that this is what we have seen. And now our people in this country are doing the same thing. They don't care about the education system. They don't care about the children's education. They rather care about themselves and a good time. So how are you gonna build a nation if people are living as islands? And that's where it comes in, where we don't have pride in our country. Which is why I'm advocating for Christianity in all walks of life. The only reason why we have a sense of peace in the country, or most countries are experiencing a sense of peace is because the foundation of the country's belief system was based off Christian views, based off the Ten Commandments, based off what Jesus advocated for. So freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of movement, and all these things. These are all the things that were rooted in Christianity and Old Testament laws, of course, what God wanted for the Jews and the Israelites and so forth. So my point is, we should have a set of foundational rules and views in South Africa, which we currently don't have. The only thing that we have on paper I say, is Ubuntu. Ubuntu has done nothing for me, it has done nothing for you, if we have to be honest. It's just a piece of paper that says nice things, basically.
Yeah.
Okay? And we need to watch out for ambiguous words such as equality and there's other words as well. But I'm just gonna use equality for example. Equality sounds nice, but the thing is, what does it offer? Is it equal outcomes or equal opportunities? Okay? Because no one can have equal outcomes, because your outcome will determine on how much input you put in, and that will be your output.
Yeah.
So if I choose to study French and he chooses to study Xhosa, our outputs would be two different outputs. Okay? He would have Xhosa, I would have French. Okay, I don't speak French, but I'm just using that as an example. My point is, we need to have one set of ways of doing things, one ideology. Okay? For example, I believe the way to bring people together without harming people or without making people second-class citizens is by having Christian values in the country. I mean, we currently have that, but that's been chipped away. Okay? Because I believe if one ideology thrives in one country, the country would be more efficient.
100%.
The country would operate better. Okay? For example, we see in Islamic countries, in Islamic nations in the Middle East, and if we also look at atheist nations as well, they have their own way of doing, but no one's speaking out about it. Okay? In Islamic nations, you can't believe something that's different to what the main law is, and that's Sharia law that they have there. If you are an atheist, if you are a Christian, you will be a second-class citizen, or you will be armed.
Yeah.
If you live in...
lightly.
Yeah. I'm trying to choose my words nicely at this moment, but that's the truth. Go and do your own research and you'll see it for yourself. Secondly, in China, they have an atheist point of view as well. Only the Han majority in that country gets the benefits of what the government gives to them. Especially if you are a party member in the Communist Party of China, the CCP, then you are a higher class citizen. But anyone who is Muslim or Christian or has a belief that is different to what the atheist belief is in China, you will be segregated, put in a concentration camp, or you will be suppressed if you are speaking out against the government. So in which system operates the best? Clearly, freedom is found in Christian countries. Look in Canada. If you try to not have your child, if you try to convince your child not to change to a transgendered person, say for instance it's a boy and they want to turn into a girl, you will get arrested for just telling them, no, I don't think that that's a good idea for you. I will not pay for it, and you will get arrested.
Yeah.
Who is empowering these children to do these things? So my point is, how is that freedom of speech and freedom of religion or freedom of choice? None whatsoever. But you'll find that in Christian countries. You want to add anything to that, Ash?
No, I think you have a very brilliant point over there, man.
Okay.
Like, I mean, you have some, a lot of these countries, they won't share this on social media, what's
Will be
happening over
blocked,
there.
yeah.
But when it comes to Christian ideologies, then they always the people that are getting battered and being censored the most. People are out here, they speak out about all their different beliefs, but you just mentioned Jesus Christ, man.
It's a different story. So
You get
I
persecuted.
believe that nations that are rooted in Christian values, okay, offer the least amount of harm and has the least amount of discrimination.
Now one.
I would like to be proved wrong, but I know that what I'm speaking is the truth, to be honest.
Man.
But do your own research and see if it's true. But it's because of lack of knowledge produces ignorance, of course. So
Yeah.
you need to find out for yourself. So anyway, if you have any questions or if you'd like to comment on what we have spoken about, be free to either direct message us or even send us an email as well. It's all on our bio and it's in the description box as well. I think that's the end of the podcast for today. Ash, would you like to say any final words before we end off today?
Yeah, for sure. I would like to say that everybody, do your own research. Don't be listening to the narrative out there that is being put out there for you. Don't believe everything that is on the mainstream. Go and do your own research. That's empirical. Research, and most importantly, guys, think critically. And search for the truth, and you gonna find it.
Oh, well. So yes, thanks for tuning in, and we will continue to be posting content such as this. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, on Spotify, and on YouTube as well. At a later stage, we will be posting on Facebook. Thanks for joining us for today's episode on Ouens with Opinions. Ciao.
Deuces.